Welcome everyone to my session. Everyone is having a good time at DEVCON? Okay, good. And actually, it's more than what I expected. I was expecting maybe 5, 10 people, but now it's much more. So thank you for that. And let's start with my session. So as you can see from the title of this session, we have three keywords here: Vaadin, Web Components, and Java. So before we start, let's do a very quick poll. How many of you know about Vaadin? Oh, nice. So probably that's why you are here. And which version are you using? 7, 8, or 10, or 11? 7. Okay, good. So you will learn probably quite something today. And about web components. Anyone knows about web components? Okay, not so many, only a handful. And Java? Yes, sure, everyone knows Java. And maybe many of you knows Vaadin, but not that many knows about web components. So today we are going to see what web components are and how Vaadin can help you to benefit from web components, the new standards. So let's start with the web, and let's start with the very first web. Who here knows who created the first web? Nobody? It's Dr. Tim Berners-Lee. We should all thank this guy. If it were not for him, life will be quite different today. And anyone knows when the first web was created? No one? You know? Yeah. When? Like what time? Yeah. No idea. Yeah. So it's like December 20th, 1990. So about 28 years ago. Yeah, I know, time flies. It's almost 30 years already. And Brian actually coincidentally showed this screenshot of the very first web already yesterday during the keynote. So you should already all know what that it look like. As you can see, it's pretty simple, mostly just the text and the hyperlinks. And the web was created mostly for sharing information like between the scientists in the university and in the institutions around the world. So the web was pretty simple at that time. But today's web is something quite different. And I'm going to show you an example. Anyone here familiar with this site? Yeah, this DEVCON. And as you can see, today's website is actually quite different from the early days. Like it's much more rich in terms of functionality, in terms of content, and in many other aspects as well. Also today, people are not only creating websites like DEVCON, but they are also creating web apps. Here is a demo application made with Vaadin and made by Vaadin. It's a big application, and it's a very simple, or not very simple, but very typical business applications nowadays. So you have a login form where the user can log in and you can do the authentication and authorization there. And after login, you have different views like the storefront view where you can have all the orders and the dashboard view to have an overview of your system, and some quad view like users view, products view, etc. The idea is that it's quite different from the original idea of the web. And the thing is that today the web is quite different, and the complexity of the web has exploded during the past decades, but people are still using the yesterday's DOM elements to create a web like we are using today. And that's not really easy. So many tools, frameworks, library, whatever have emerged to help developers to build websites like DEVCON, to build web application like the bigger application, which works quite nicely or mostly until you look at the DOM. For the record, this is not the screenshot from DEVCON website, so no panic there. But I bet that this kind of a monstrous DOM structure is not something that you are unfamiliar with. And the problem is that we developers, we have modularity in our mind, But modularity doesn't really exist in the web. Web is just a bunch of HTML elements there, some CSS, some JavaScript there. So won't it be awesome if we can bring also modularity to the web as well? So that brings us to the topic of web components. So web components is a set of web platform APIs which allows you to create new custom modular, encapsulated reusable HTML tags that you can use in the web apps, web pages, etc. And all the custom components, custom widgets that built on web component standard will work across all the modern browsers, and it can be used with many other JavaScript libraries or framework or whatever that works with HTML, and that's the power of web components. And as I mentioned, web components is like a umbrella under for many different for 4 different standards or specifications, and we have like a custom elements here, Shadow DOM, ES6, ES modules, and previously it was HTML import, and also we have HTML template, and we will look at these one by one. So first, custom elements. It means that you can, in addition to the standard HTML elements, you can define your own custom element and use that in your web page, and the web browser will just know how to render them. And if you compare this with Java, it's kind of like, in addition to using like the primitives like int, double, etc., you can now create your own class. That is quite awesome. So if you take a look at the bigger application that I showed you before, if you inspect the element, you can see that here the dashboard view here is actually just a dashboard view element in the web page. Isn't that awesome? And I know that some people might start to worry about, hey, what the hell? Where is the implementation? Where did the implementation go? And don't worry, the implementation doesn't disappear. They are hidden there in the Shadow DOM. And the Shadow DOM is a specification which is like all about encapsulation. And it defines how developers can encapsulate styles and the mockups into for the web component. And if we take a look at the dashboard view here, and we can see under the Shadow DOM, we have some styles, and under the style we have some another custom element, Vaadin board. And in the Shadow DOM of Vaadin board, we have this again some Shadow DOM, and inside there we have even more custom elements. And if we go to Vaadin board row, and we will have more implementation details. But anyway, I think you get the idea. The Shadow DOM is all about encapsulation. So anything that you have defined here, the style, the code here, will only like live inside this dashboard view. Any other elements in the in your web page won't affect here, and any style that you have defined here won't affect other elements as well. Again, this is kind of quite comparable with Java, I think. So in Java, we can encapsulate a class with like private fields, private methods, like that. So anything that you define as private fields or private methods won't affect any other classes, and all other classes won't affect your own private fields or classes. That's kind of quite similar as Shadow DOM. Also, we have this ES modules, which as probably as you can see is quite similar as the import statement from Java. So normally you couldn't do everything like in just one JavaScript file or just the HTML file. So you need to import others as well. And the equivalent specification, which was in the previous version of web components, was this HTML import. Again, basically same thing, just a different syntax. Here you can see you can import other HTML files into your own HTML file. And finally, we have this template. Template basically just a template, which means that all the code here inside the template won't be rendered when you first load the page. But if later on you really want them, you can instantiate this template and add them into your web page dynamically at runtime. So as I mentioned, these web components, they are standards, they are new, and of course it means the browser need to support it. And if we look at the browser support, it's actually really, really amazing nowadays. And the Edge is also catching up, developing those two custom elements and the shutdown specifications. And so we can very safely say that in the very, very near future, all the modern browsers will support this kind of web component standards, which means that you no longer need any JavaScript libraries, plugins, whatever. If you like work with web components, all your components will be rendered in the browser natively, just like div, input, etc. So I would say the idea sounds quite amazing, quite awesome. You would want to try it right away, right now. And the first thing that you might bump into is actually where to start. Where can I find some web components to use? And you can actually go to webcomponents.org, which is like a marketplace for web components. There are thousands of web components available there already. And as you can see, Vaadin is quite popular there. And here we provide you 45 Vaadin core elements, which means that they are free. Or you can also go to our own directory, Vaadin directory, which is like the marketplace for Vaadin ecosystem. And the nice feature that we are providing that we also have these rating features where you can see how other developers think about that particular component. And let's say that you have found a awesome Vaadin data picker custom element that you want to put into use in your own web page or your own web apps. And how do you put that into your page? There are different steps that you need to follow. First, you need to install the custom element or the web component and use either Bower or npm. Anyone here knows npm or Bower? Okay, everyone knows. Just maybe in case someone didn't know, just some packaging manager tools for the front-end developers. And after you have installed this web component, then you can import that using either HTML import or ES modules, depending on which version of the data picker you are using. Like Vaadin have both versions. And after install, after import, now you can just put a tag there into your web page, and you have a beautiful, beautifully designed Vaadin data picker there for you. And so far, so good. By the way, I forgot to do another quick poll. How many of you are backend developers? And how many of you are front-end developers? Okay, not that many. So far, so good. I think the front-end developers are quite happy. I can use this right away. But I know what you are thinking about the backend developers. So what about me? So how can I take the advantage of this new web component standard? And I can't help but introduce you Vaadin. And since many of you have heard about this before, I just maybe repeating some stuff in case you didn't know that yet. Vaadin is a company which was founded in year 2000 in Finland. And so it has been there for like 18 years, so quite a long history. And in the past 18 years, Vaadin has been doing one thing and one thing good, and that is connecting web with Java. And that's probably what you have heard about Vaadin. So this is like the typical Vaadin application, so that it allows you to create your whole web application with pure Java. Like here you can have some horizontal layout and have some button, create some button click listener with the lambda, and also you can add the button there into the horizontal layout. So very, very simple Java code. Any Java developers would understand this kind of code immediately without any explanations. And that's like the Vaadin 6, Vaadin 7, Vaadin 8, etc. And still true for the new Vaadin platform. But we are also bringing some new features in the new Vaadin platform. That is, Vaadin platform is bringing web components to Java as well. So as we have seen that in the webcomponents.org, Vaadin provides you 45 free web components, and Vaadin provides more, like some commercial web components as well. And that's the front-end developer should be happy. You can just use those web components by themselves. But Vaadin also brings these web components to Java, which means that for each and every web component that we have created, there is a server-side corresponding Java component as well, which means that you can create your view like this. You can create a main view, and you can just add this data picker to there, and you have data picker. So no touching of HTML, JavaScript, etc. Simply as that. For every single web component that Vaadin creates, there is a corresponding server-side Java component. And the thing is that, of course, Vaadin couldn't possibly provide all the components you would ever need. So quite often, maybe you will need to go to webcomponent.org, like you found this very awesome rating or star rating web component that you want to put it into use in your Vaadin application. And how can you do that? It's actually pretty simple, and Vaadin uses WebJar to manage the client-side web libraries. So instead of having to touch npm or bower, you can just put the WebJar dependency into your POM file, as any Java developers would do, or should be very familiar with. You can just put the dependency there into your POM file, then you have the dependency in your web application. And the next, how to connect the web component to Java. Actually, very, very simple. This is the full code. So what you need is just a server-side Java class, which extends the component, which is a abstract class from Vaadin, and you need two annotations here. First is tag, which means like how the component should be rendered in the web page, and here just the tag name, which would be naturally star rating. And also this HTML import will indicate like from where can it find this star rating web component. So simple as that, just like let's say 4 lines of code, and you have a server-side Java component that you can use into your Vaadin web application. So you have a main view, and you can use this star rating component the same as you are using the data picker component that Vaadin provides, added to your main view, and you have it there in your web browser. Simple as that. And in the new Vaadin platform, we're also providing you this kind of element API, which allows you to manipulate the DOM in whatever way you would want, just like you are writing some JavaScript, but you are actually writing Java code. So if we want to give it a 5-star rating here, we can just get the element and set the attribute, the read attribute there to be 5, and then we have a 5-star rating there. Simple. But again, like the webcomponents.org provides thousands of web components, but still I think you will run into a situation, or probably will run into a situation that you want some very good component that nobody else have ever created before, and you have to create your own. And how can you do that? Create your own component. And let's follow the tradition and start with this very simple hello world custom element and see how can we do that. And this hello world custom element is really simple. All it does is to print out this hello world text. And let's see how can you do that. And first, as a standard, it means that you can create this kind of web components natively by using purely JavaScript and HTML. And the code will look something like this. So you start with a template, and you give it an ID, and then you define some script, and inside there you register your hello world element, and by defining a JavaScript class and some constructor, super, and then we have shadow DOM. Anyway, I won't go into the details of all this code, but now probably you can see better how those different web component standards are connected. So here we have the template, and here we have the custom element, and here we have the shadow DOM. So everything here is inside it. Is like hidden inside this shadow DOM or shadow root. And as you can see, especially for those backend developers, it's not probably that easy. And you are actually trying to avoid this kind of client-side implementation details with JavaScript and the HTML. And so some libraries have emerged to help you to build a web component. And Polymer is one of them. Anyone here know about Polymer? Okay, 3 or 4 of them of you. So the Polymer is a JavaScript library developed by Google, and it's like a sugaring library to help developers to build web components. And let's see, with Polymer, it's become a little bit easier. So you start with a DOM module and give it an ID. ID would be the same as the tag name. And inside DOM module, you have 2 parts, template and the script, same as before actually. And inside template, you define how your custom element would look like. And inside script, you can define a JavaScript class, and then you register it there. So a little bit simple, but I would say still maybe not that easy for us backend developers. And Vaadin has actually thought about it and brings you this kind of tool for creating called Vaadin Designer to help you to create a web component without having to touch the JavaScript or HTML code. And it's a IDE plugin which is available for Eclipse and IntelliJ. And with Vaadin Designer, you can create a web component by starting very simple file new and create a Vaadin design. And then you have then you will see a wizard, and from there just define where that design should go, and also should it also automatically create the server-side Java component for you or not. Then you define the name, like the tag of your custom element, and then you click OK, and it will bring you to this canvas. And also on the right side of the canvas, you have this palette, which will show you all the elements that's available for you. And also on the right side, you have some property panel. So we can here search for like a H1 element and drag this H1 into the canvas and change the text here to hello world. Simple as that. So we don't have to, we can also check the source code. It will be exactly the same that what we would have done by ourselves. And also if you can go to the preview to see how that it really look like. So simple as that. So with Vaadin Designer, then you don't have to really write all those JavaScript and HTML code, and everything will be generated automatically for you. And I know that when people create web applications, they are not only aiming for the fancy UIs, but they are mostly trying to connect your UI with some data to set up some business. And let's see how Vaadin can help you with that. So here is a very typical entity in your backend, like a product entity, really very typical. And you have 2 fields here, name and price. And you also have defined some validation rules here, like the not blank for the name, and also a size for the name, and the mean max values for the price. And on the UI, you have like a CRUD view, very typical product CRUD view, and you have a list show all the products there. And you click one row here, you will be able to see the detailed information of the product, and you can modify, delete, and save the product. The thing that with Vaadin, you can create your UI with Java. First of all, you can create a product form, and you put 2 text fields there, name and price. And then you can do the data binding with binder class, very simple. And then you just say that binder.bind. The first parameter is the field, and the second parameter is the property of your module. And by that, Vaadin will take care of like sending the data from the backend to UI and from UI to backend. Also, you can change the simple binder to our bean validation binder, and the benefit of this bean validation binder is that the bean validation will work out of the box. So on the UI, if you remove the product name, you will get a validation error. You don't have to set up anything anymore. Everything will just work out of the box. So that's about this form. Then how about this grid here? How about this list of product? How do you show a list of product into the UI? And Vaadin has this quite awesome grid component there, where you can simply create a grid, and after you get your list of product, you just set the items into the grid. Boom, and then there you have it in your UI. Simple as that. And being a Java platform or framework and staying in the Java realm has a benefit that it can work seamlessly with many other Java frameworks or libraries as well. So how many of you are using Spring here? Okay, good. Almost everyone is using Spring. And Vaadin works really seamlessly with Spring. You won't even feel that you are using Spring or Vaadin separately. You feel like Vaadin is part of Spring. And so that with Spring, you can use the Spring data to create your repository, of course. And also you can use Spring Security to set up your login, logout, and do the authentication, authorization there. And also you can use this dependency injection as well. So here, just to try to explain to you very briefly. So here we have a dashboard view, and we have this root annotation here. And this root annotation enables routing in Vaadin application. So whenever you go localhost 8080/dashboard, it will show you this dashboard view. And at the same time, this will make any component here a Spring managed bean. So really, really seamlessly. So it will be managed by Spring automatically, and you can do the injection here, dependency injection here, like inject a order service. Really, everything works just perfectly together. So I think that summarizes my talk. Vaadin platform is basically modern web and some mature Java. That's about it. Hopefully this is the thing that you will remember after this DEVCON conference. And probably you have also noticed this has nothing to do with Liferay, but I think it aligns with the theme of this DEVCON pretty nicely, equipped for today and prepared for tomorrow. Okay, any questions? Nope.
Questions?
Also, please remember to read this session, and also if you want to ask more questions later on, you can always drop me an email like haijian@vaadin.com or tweet me at Twitter, Haijian _Wang, and that's it.
Thank you.